Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Kumusta the fishing lately? Not literal fishing siguro. Unless taga-Navotas or Malabon ka, then maybe oo. But you know what I mean? Fishing for success, fishing for solutions, fishing for a grab car when it's raining cats and dogs. Hahaha, alam niyo yun? That feeling of casting your net out again and again and coming up empty. Sayang yung pagod, di ba? Well, the disciples in our gospel today, they know that feeling. Talagang talaga. There they were, back at their old stomping grounds, the Sea of Tiberias. Peter, na parang laging may ideya, says, "Okay guys, wala tayong magawa. Let's go fishing." And the others, maybe out of pakikisama, maybe because they were just as lost, said, "Okay game, sama kami." Classic barkada move, no? One jumps, everyone follows. So off they went, all night long, casting nets, pulling them in, casting, pulling. Tapos, wala, zero, zilch, nada, nganga. Can you imagine the frustration? All night puyat, probably hungry, definitely discouraged. Parang stuck ka sa EDSA on a Friday night before a long weekend. You're technically moving, but are you really getting anywhere? Hehe. Nakakainis, diba? Then, just as the sun is coming up, may tao sa beach. A stranger. They don't recognize him. He calls out. Parang your friendly neighbor asking over the fence, "Childen, huy, any fish?" Siguro medyo mainit na ulo nila. They just shout back, "No, wala." Then this stranger gives this a slightly weird advice. Try casting the net on the right side of the boat. Naku po, after a whole night of nothing, if someone told me that, siguro ang isasagot ko, "Sir, expert po kami dito, okay? Ano ka? Sinuswerte?" But ewan ko, maybe out of desperation, maybe bahala na attitude. They did it. They cast the net on the right side. And grabe, hindi nila mahila. So many fish. Suddenly, the boat is heavy. The net is bulging. Ano to? And John, you know, the disciple whom Jesus loved, the quiet observer, he gets it. He whispers to Peter, "Inten siguro. Si Lord yun. It is the Lord." And Peter? Oh, Peter. Ano pa nga ba? Impulsive talaga. Doesn't wait for the boat. He was stripped for work, so nabihis siya, which is funny. Usually you take clothes off to swim, siya nabihis, then jumps into the water. Hindi na nag-isip. Maybe sobrang excited? Maybe sobrang hiya? Remembering his denial and just wanting to get to Jesus agad-agad? Maybe both? But he swims, splashes his way to the shore. The others follow in the boat, dragging this impossible catch. Isipin mo, 153 malalaking isda. 153. Specific talaga, oh. That's like winning the lottery, tapos counting every single coin. And when they get to shore, what do they find? Jesus. Just there. Calm. He's already got a charcoal fire going. Ihaw-ihaw on the beach. Fish cooking, bread ready. Simple. Parang early morning picnic. And he says so gently, "Halika, come and have breakfast. Kain tayo." Wow, no big dramatic speech agad. No "I told you so" about the fish. Just come, eat. He cooks for them. He serves them. In their failure, in their exhaustion, in their ordinary work clothes smelling of fish and seawater. He meets them right there. He feeds them. Alam niya ang kailangan nila, even before they ask. Sometimes it's the simple things lang talaga, no? Presence, a shared meal, knowing someone cares. And this encounter, my brothers and sisters, this simple breakfast on the beach with the risen Lord, ito yung nagbigay ng lakas for what we heard in the first reading. This is why Peter and the apostles, later on, facing the mataas na council, the Sanhedrin, parang the powerful officials na ayaw kang bigyan ng permit, you know? They were so brave. Matapang talaga. The council strictly charged them, "Stop talking about this Jesus. Ang kulit ninyo." And Peter and the apostles basically said, "With all due respect po, sorry po, but we have to obey God rather than men." Boom. Straight up. Saan galing yung courage na yun? It came from knowing the risen Lord wasn't just a story. He was real. They had breakfast with him. Kilalang kilala nila siya. So the council had them beaten up. Binugbog sila. Ouch, sakit nun sigurado. But how did they react? Did they complain? Did they post a rant on Facebook? No. The reading says they left the council rejoicing. Ano daw? Rejoicing? Happy? Sino ba namang natutuwa pag nabugbog? But they were. Rejoicing that they were considered worthy to suffer dishonor for the name of Jesus. Why? Because the one they suffered for was worth it. And that connects to our second reading from Revelation. John gives us a glimpse of why he's worth it. Heaven, not just quiet clouds and harps. Grabe, myriads upon myriads, thousands upon thousands of angels and creatures. Ibig sabihin, sobrang dami, hindi mo mabilang. All roaring, shouting with a loud voice, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain, worthy of power, wealth, wisdom, might, honor, glory, blessing, lahat na." The Jesus they had breakfast with, the Jesus they were beaten for, is the Lamb reigning in eternal glory. Kaya pala they could endure. Kaya pala they rejoiced in suffering, because they knew the ending. They knew who wins. They knew who he is. So mga kapatid, what about us? Here in our busy, sometimes crazy lives in Manila, sa gitna ng traffic, sa trabaho, sa mga bayarin sa Meralco, sa challenges sa pamilya, sometimes, parang we're fishing all night, di ba? We feel tired, empty, parang walang mangyayari. Nakakapagod. Pero mga kapatid, the Lord assures us today, nandiyan pa rin siya palagi. He stands on the shore of our ordinary lives. Maybe we don't recognize him at first, sa gitna ng ating stress or frustration. But he calls out, "Children, kumusta ka?" He offers guidance, maybe through a friend, through prayer, through his word. Try the right side. Try trusting me. He provides. Maybe not 153 big fish agad-agad. Baka masira diet natin, kehe. But he gives us what we truly need. Our daily bread, strength for the day, hope, and most importantly, he invites us again and again. Halika, come and have breakfast. He meets us right here, now, dito mismo in this Mass. In the simple bread and wine that become his body and blood. His simple meal, prepared for us. He meets us in our quiet prayer, even for just 5 minutes sa umaga. He meets us in the kindness of a stranger, in the support of our family and friends. Huwag tayong panghinaan ng loob. Let's ask for the grace, yung biyaya, to recognize Jesus standing on our shorelines, especially when we feel we've caught nothing. Let's have the courage, like the apostles, fueled by our encounters with him, to obey God rather than the pressures of the world. To witness to him, maybe not before a council, but sa opisina, sa school, sa jeepney, sa pagpili ng tama even when it's hard. And kahit na when we face difficulties, even when we suffer a little for doing good, maybe we too can find a quiet joy, knowing the one we follow. Knowing that the Lamb who was slain is worthy of it all. Halika, let's continue our breakfast with the Lord. Amen? Sige po.